How are you doing, Jeremy?
I am doing great. Thank you for having me here. Really excited to share some tactics that we've been seeing successful. And yeah, I always love following Alexandra because a huge portion of our brands are fashion. So it's always interesting to see like what happens before they get to the site and before they enter in the funnel, and then all the things that we see from there.
Love that. Yeah. Well, I'm going to let you take it away. Again, if anyone has questions, feel free to put them in the chat for Jeremy and we'll answer them toward the end.
Awesome. Thank you, Autumn. Really appreciate it. So hi, everybody. Really excited to talk to you today about 5 CX hacks to make more money from ads. And these are lessons we've learned from working with over 12,000 brands and analyzing their data using Gorgeous. And then we also dove in and did 25 really, really deep interviews with some of the top performing brands and some of the most impressive performances we've seen. So a quick background, if anybody isn't familiar with myself, my quick story. My big break into ecom was I was the ecom manager for a company called Lumi over here on the left, which is probably best known as Kim Kardashian's favorite selfie case, which we were actually taking a very fashion take to consumer electronics. I was their ecom manager where I managed their Shopify Plus business, digital marketing, and Amazon during a time when the business was expanding into massive retailers like Target, Best Buy, Verizon, Sprint, Apple. From there, after I left that company, I started posting my crazy ideas on LinkedIn, which people have started to resonate with, and started helping a lot of brands scale out their performance. So how can we just help more brands go from 6 figures to 7, 7 to 8, 8 to 9, and so on. And then now I'm here presenting to all of you from working at Gorgeous. So I oversee all of our events, influencers, and partner marketing. So constantly tapping into who's doing the most innovative, interesting things. If anybody wants to connect with me, QR code on the bottom right corner is my LinkedIn where I post daily ecom tips. So today what I'm really going to dive into and where I'd like to start is kind of actually like a little bit of my history. I didn't start quite in the early 2000s. I was probably somewhere in the middle here. I remember when it was a big deal on Shopify that there were 250,000 stores. Now I think we're somewhere close to 1.7 or 1.8 million. But this is what the general trajectory of total sales across all e-commerce look like over the past 23 years. So you can see really, really great steady growth, the reason why we're all here. And I think really where we're all feeling in the kind of pain of the past couple of months and even probably close to a year is this COVID period, we all just went vertical and sales just went crazy. And now what really is reverting to eventually the mean, right? If we just continued this chart all the way along, it probably would hit here anyway. But that steep decline and then these bumps the way down really has made it a bit of a roller coaster ride. And so one thing that's really changed and what we strongly believe coming out of that 2020, 2021 period is the old e-commerce success recipe no longer works. And the old playbook's kind of dead, right? I remember the days where we could just light up a Facebook ad, which was just sparking your own native content. And that would drive tons of sales at 5 to 10x ROAS. And you could just keep going as long as you didn't violate Facebook rules. And right, we all know that that just isn't the case today. And you need to be a lot more thoughtful about that entire customer journey and really what you're pushing and how you're working with your customers. And I think the other big piece of that is not just how the CPMs and the platforms have changed, but costs have just gone up altogether, right? Inflation is persistent and inflation is here to stay. And when cost of goods, you're looking at Procter & Gamble as well as Figs. I always like to look at what are the public comps, what are the public companies doing so we can get a kind of an anchor for where the rest of us can really figure out what's going on, right? Procter & Gamble's cost of goods have gone up 50%. When you think about your gross margin, cost of goods going up that much just depletes your ad budget because so much of your just dollars available is going into just buying your products, not even selling them. Figs saw a similar pattern. And then especially what I would guess for a lot of you and you're probably experiencing, especially over the past 12 months, is your marketing costs have gone up considerably, right? Like Figs is the challenger brand, a newer brand in their space. They're still building out their market share. They're still growing. Procter & Gamble still 25, 60% increases in marketing costs are really significant. And when you start to add both of those things up, profitability just decreases so significantly you really, really need to be great to be able to maintain an overall business profitability north of 10 to 15%, which used to be the standard average for net income for a general e-commerce retail business. So basically what I'm going to go over the rest of the day is how to win in e-commerce in 2023, a couple of our beliefs, the tactics. I promise I will get to them very quickly. And then just some takeaways and happy to answer questions from the audience. So I want to just start with our beliefs so that everybody can align on how we see the market, how we see this world. So our beliefs are really rest on a simple premise. Happy customers are the best fuel to sustainable growth. Now that all of those costs have gone up so much, the game of how do you optimize and growth hack your acquisition to get to a really high value just doesn't work anymore, right? You need those repeat customers. You need them coming back and to be happy. And going to another analysis, basically what you're looking at is the stock price of figs and Allbirds over the past 18 months. And the one simple difference that really illustrates why these two companies are performing so different is the sales that come from repeat customers, right? The people who come back, who buy again. Figs sees 60% of their sales come from repeat customers. Allbirds only 50%. And that those are two both incredible numbers, but that 10% difference of where their sales come from has a massive impact on not only their business value, but also how they're doing and how they're performing. So let's get to it. Here are the 5 CX hacks that are going to make you more money if you start using them on your ads. So the first one comes from one of our close partners and one of the true thought leaders in the space, Nick Sharma from Sharma Brands. He's been saying this actually for years. Like this goes back 3 or 4 years, but publicly comment on ads and publicly respond to ad comments, right? If somebody leaves you a negative comment on your ad and that gains momentum, that can kill a great ad unit because the algorithms will deprioritize them because they feel like it's a bad user experience. If you can either nip that in the butt or flip it and make it turn that frown upside down, essentially in your social ad comments, that could change it and really increase your performance on click-through rates, on your CPMs because of algorithm placements. So it's really, really important that you push that and make that a lot more successful. The other side of this coin is also build momentum on the popular ads. Like Alexandra was talking about, right? Like there's a lot of different styles, there's a lot of different ways to execute that. That authentic, high endorsement model really, really works. If you can fuel more engagement on those ads and you can build on the positives, 2 things will happen. 1, the ad will perform better. And then second, you could even turn that into a sales moment where people may be asking questions in ad unit or have specific call to actions. They may want a discount code or other things like that. You can prompt them with that next piece in the buying journey to get them to the site to buy. And as you just try to optimize your CAC, your ROAS, all of those really crucial elements on how to make the ad perform better, this is one of those tactics that you can do that will really boost the performance because you're playing the algorithm game and you're creating a better experience at the same time. The next tactic is from Deja Topicals. If you have not checked them out, this is one of the truly fastest growing brands in the space. Really, really interesting use case and amazing founder. But what Deja and their team have done really, really well is they automate questions that customers will have in the buying process that will prevent them from buying or that they need to know to buy. And they'll automate that in chat so that they get that information, right? Customers are seeing ads, they're hitting your website, they're going to leave, maybe get a couple emails, they're going to retarget them and come back. And they're eventually going to have to find out questions like, where do you ship? What is your returns policy? How do I use this product? All of these things that maybe aren't the most important or the most crucial to get people to convert from your ads specifically. But having this great experience streamlined on site, easy to find that they can just go through in a matter of seconds will really, really, 1, increase your conversion rate because people will get their answers in a matter of seconds versus minutes of, right, then they have to go and chat with somebody or they have to send in an email, wait to get a response back. Then you got to get them back to the site. If you can provide this information self-serve, this is a great way to push them down the funnel and give them that more information that makes them ready to buy faster. The next tactic is a little less automated, but honestly, one of the most valuable is proactively live chat shoppers when they have their best products in cart, right? You've gotten them all the way down to the funnel. This is essentially your pre-abandoned cart save. Right? You're going to capture their email. You're going to send them a bunch of SMS messages, maybe even direct mail to continue to bring them back from a marketing perspective. But what if you could convert those customers before they even leave your site? And when you think about the math, there's a great just volume perspective of how many people are on your site versus how many people's emails do you capture or SMS phone numbers. Then how many of those people actually will get the message, then we'll open it, then we'll get back to your site. It's just a volume game of if you can capture them before they ever leave, you're going to drive way more traffic. Where CrossNet saw a 13% boost in sales from running this tactic. And I mean, Chris is also prolific at live, like by being active and just constantly staying in and starting conversations. They also closed a $450,000 retail PO through their live chat because someone came in asking questions. And so there's such an enormous sales opportunity here that if you can automate a lot of those initial questions and highly repetitive stuff, you can save your team's time to drive these really high intent, valuable purchasing moments. The next one is bust objections in that automated chat as well. So one thing that Loop Earplugs does really, really well is if you look at the core questions that they're asking here, they're all things that would be objections that you would need to bust in your ads, on your site, across the experience. And why this is so important is you can really, really streamline that to decrease the time between when you show someone your ads and when they buy by routing them through the site. And again, this just goes to higher conversion rates, improving that performance. But why are Loop earplugs different from other earplugs, right? That's probably something that you're going to tackle on your ads as well. But this is just another point where you can like really, really deliver those points and bring those points home so you can constantly move them down the funnel and get them into high value moments. The fifth tactic I have for you is a little bit more on the work side, but when you can really automate and drive those sales and those other tactics, this is where you can really play that next level game. So Glamnetics, which is one of our favorite brands that we work with at Gorgeous, they do this really great tactic where all of their new followers across Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok, they will actually slide in their DMs to welcome them. So like if you go and if you like follow their accounts, they will go and like proactively reach out and say hi. And it might not seem like this is going to drive revenue tomorrow or that this is like really, really a conversion tactic, but here's what happens. Those people feel welcome in your brand. Those people are excited to get to know you. And because of all of that, they're going to then be more likely to purchase from you. And this really gets into that like happy customer experience drives more revenue by sliding into the DMs, by making actual connections, not just connection requests, but actual connections with their customers. It enables them to build up and engender that goodwill that when customers engage more in their content and when customers see their ads and all of those other components, the brand stands out and they remember the brand. And it's another tactic that just makes their ads more effective and they drive more revenue overall. The other piece to say is also when you start a direct conversation with your customers, we're gonna have data on this part, but like you are starting conversations, customers will reach out to you in that place. We find that our merchants across the board all of the time want to have their Instagram DMs like easily respondable and as fast as possible, because once you get into those DMs, like a lot of activities can happen and there's a really valuable like sales moment that can happen by starting those interactions as well. So I can't leave you with just 5. So I wanted to bring the value and bring one bonus hack and one bonus tactic that you can take. And this is from Kayla Jackson, who's running a really interesting men's jewelry brand. But catch your lost sales by incentivizing your CS agents on the revenue that they drive. And so what we mean by that, when their CS agents are converting, are actually like they interact with someone and that person then purchases, they get rewards, bonuses, gift cards for that performance. And I know this is probably the farthest step away, but if you think about it, CS is your last net to catch all of your ad performance that hasn't converted yet, right? Like we can run as many DPAs as we want. We can run as much retargeting, marketing in other channels, but the people who are asking questions, have feedback, are interacting with your CS team are all sales opportunities, right? They care enough and they've taken the time to reach out to you. They probably want something from you. And at the end of the day, like it's delivering them value. And if you deliver them value, you'll be able to deliver them more products. And so this is a really effective method where in their Gorgeous platform, they're tracking how much revenue each CS agent is bringing. And don't think of this as a different attribution or taking credit away from any other channel, but this is supporting all of your other channels. And it really is everything, right? It could be emails, it could be your ads, it could be your whatever crazy channel that you're running. The really key value here is that you're able to catch all of those people, have a conversation with them, and then drive them to purchase and drive them to sale. Just to beat the point home one more time, Absolute Collagen is a really great example of this, where they said, you know what, they're a supplements business, and happy customers are going to be our main focus. And they went on this just march to get to a 4.9 out of a 5 CSAT, right? Which is customer satisfaction. So essentially like how happy are your customers on a scale of 1 to 5 with you. And what we've noticed as we've analyzed our entire merchant base, and what's really, really important to take away from this is how to increase your repeat purchase rate. So the reason why, right, the way to tie back that belief that happy customers are the fuel of growth, this is the chart and this is the data from where we believe that and why we believe that. So what we're looking at is on the left-hand side, the brands that have a CSAT of 4, right? We're talking about a great CSAT. If your CSAT is at 4, you're doing really, really well and you should be proud. 32% of your customers will come back to make a second purchase or make another purchase in 180 days, which is really good. I want to preface it that way. Like if 32%, depending on your business and depending on what you're looking for, if a third of your customer base is coming back to make a second purchase in about 6 months, you're doing really, really well. But where we see those top performing brands in that upper echelon of fastest growing, most successful, most profitable brands on Shopify really succeed, and like the brands that I shared earlier today, they have a CSAT of 5. And what's really, really crazy about this is the brands with a CSAT of 5 have 46% of their customer base come back to make a second purchase in 180 days. And what that means is almost half. Like we're right there. We're right there for half of the customer base on average coming back to make a second purchase. And as you think about your CAC to AOV ratio, your CAC to LTV ratio, right? Like how much money can I spend to acquire a customer and how profitable are they going to be after that? We can do the math 17 different ways, but if you can get 10 to 15% of those new purchasers to buy a second time, you've now just greatly extended 1, your LTV, 2, the amount of revenue that you're making, and 3, your profitability. And here's the really key insight of why we believe this so strongly. Most likely that second purchase is coming through less marketing effort because you don't have to invest so much to convince someone to buy from you for the first time. You're just basically reminding them and convincing them to buy a second time. And typically those happen in cheaper channels that aren't your most expensive top of funnel channel. And so where this really moves your entire business is that when we talked about before, your cost of goods sold and marketing costs are going up. If you can reduce the marketing costs on your repeat purchasers to drive more sales, you've now just created more margin for yourself to then go invest more in advertising to bring more new customers in. And it gives you more bandwidth to then grow your business faster because you know you have more profitable orders coming in on the second, third, fourth order, that you can get more aggressive investing in acquiring those new customers. And that's why you see these brands that can really, really take off really quickly, is because especially if they are in that upper echelon where almost half of their customers come back to buy a second time, they just have more cash to spend on advertising, to spend on product extensions, to spend on more inventory to grow faster. And so I want to wrap up. Hopefully everybody has questions. Couple key things for everybody to leave you with. First thing, the old ecom playbook is dead. Long live the new ecom playbook. And we all need to adapt and move on and take this as the new reality. 5 CX hacks to make more money from ads. Be like Nick, publicly respond to ad comments and boost your ad performance. Be like Deja, automate answers to pre-sale questions and get people what they need to make buying decisions. Be like Chris, close your best-selling products when they are in cart and convert that crucial moment to drive revenue for your store. And then we want to be like Milan, automate those objection-busting questions in chat before they leave and before they bounce to convert customers faster. And then be like Maya over at Glamnetic, slide into your followers' DMs and make them feel welcome and start to establish that relationship so that your entire ecosystem performs better because you stay top of mind. And then the bonus one, you gotta be like Kayla and incentivize your reps to drive more revenue, because the more revenue they bring in, the better those 30 and 60-day attribution windows look when you're driving more sales for the business overall. And just one final thing to leave you all with before Q&A, happy customers equals more ad dollars. And the happier customers you can have, the better experiences you can generate, not only from the performance of the ads themselves, but for the business overall, the bigger your budgets can get because you have more profitable sales coming in to then fuel that growth. So I really appreciate everybody's time. I want to thank you. If anybody has any questions, I'll be here for the next 10 minutes and can hang out in the chat as well. If anybody is interested in Gorgias or wants to learn more, the QR code down below will be a great resource. If you just click that link, you also get your second and third month free when you sign up. I just want to thank everybody and appreciate everybody spending their time here today and giving me a good 20 to 30 minutes of their lives.
Thanks so much for sharing all of this, Jeremy. What would be kind of your biggest takeaway that you want people to take from this? I know you kind of did like a brief rundown, but if you had to name one thing that you want everybody to walk away from this session from, what would it be?
Yeah, for all the paid media buyers, please start commenting on your ads. It's like the one consistent thing we see across the board really move the needle. And it just makes your ads more effective. Where like one thing to take away today, get somebody on the team to start responding to those ad comments, especially the negative ones, and really boost that performance so that you can just continue to have more success and not let some negative person or some random person commenting on your post who may just be upset to completely just destroy your ad performance.
Awesome. And then is there like a solid strategy you could recommend? Doesn't have to be super in depth, but for like responding to those negative comments in a solution driven manner.
Yes. So what we see our most successful brands do is they'll create what are called macros. Think of these as just pre-built response templates. And then anytime that they see come in from any source, they do this across email and SMS and voice as well. But when they see those ad comments come in, they just hit a macro. They have all the rules set up. So social comments come into my help desk. Then here's a macro for upset product usage, upset shipping usage, upset couple key pieces. They can customize it if they need to, hit send, it posts it back to that original post in the ad, and then they can just keep moving on. If you're not using a help desk yet, you can go in manually and do that through the ad platform itself. You probably would just need to create like a template or some sort of spreadsheet doc that then like you go and copy and paste as well. But yeah, like just come up, you'll see the common threads pretty quickly, create templatized responses to them that can be customized, and that will get you 90% of the way there.
Awesome. And then question from David Trow, are you using post-click redirect tools like Optimizely or Google Optimize for any of your tests?
That's a good question. So what we're doing is we're actually, for all of these perspectives, we're actually analyzing all 12,000 plus of our merchants. So we're looking at data and comparing it across all of them. And then basically the other part of that study that we did was we then compared it to the averages of the brands who were running these tactics. What lift in store performance did they have as a group compared to the average? Each brand on themselves would take on testing the specific tactics in an A/B format if they wanted.
Got it. Awesome. And then two final questions, both from Kim Rofik. Is there any like negative reaction or anything bad if a brand is to hide or delete negative comments, or would you recommend that they respond to everyone and not hide or delete it?
Well, I would love to say that you should respond publicly to every single comment. There will be things that I always have it, and this is similar for your reviews on site. There's always a 10% bucket usually that I see for stores that are just unhelpful comments, period. Those I would typically recommend hide, delete, block. Because certain people if it's a comment that's maybe negative about your brand, but something that you can address about a delayed shipment or somebody wasn't really happy with a product, those you should call out, and those you should, in a similar to like posting publicly about a review, you should respond to. If somebody's just like cursing and really upset and just making random comments on your ad post or your post, those probably are very unhelpful. And so it's a fine line, but definitely like what is trolling versus what is an actual upset customer who's trying to share information is how I would delineate those two things.
Perfect. And is there a software that like allows you to auto comment on ads?
That's a good question. I am not familiar with auto comment. I just know that we have the ability to post those comments back. I think you're starting to venture into like the terms of services of the platforms there. I know that there were a couple of tools back in like 4 or 5 years ago that were doing that. I don't know if any of them still are allowed to do that though,
Gotcha. Awesome. And
from an
then
automated perspective.
cool. Okay. Do you know of any that might help you like auto hide comments, or is that still something you would probably have to manually do?
Yeah, unfortunately, and that's something that we've looked into as well, and we don't have a solution yet, but unfortunately that is something that is still fairly manual. But hopefully it's not that much, would be my one thing.
Awesome. And will you be sharing your deck that you went through at all? Is there a way for attendees to get it if they contact you?
Yeah, I'd be happy to. I'll also be around for a little bit. So if anybody wants to drop me their email in a DM, I'm happy to send it. But yeah, I'll also send it over to you, Autumn, and then we can definitely share it out with the attendees.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Jeremy. You did an amazing job today. Love your
Awesome.
session.
Thank you. Really
And
appreciate it.
Daniel Jester said pure gold. So, you're doing something right if we're getting some amazing comments like this.